Countdown. Oh, do you know what? I'll just do that for now. So yeah, welcome to Green Tech Southwest. It's great to see so many of you. I think this has got to be the biggest in-person event we've had so far, I'd say. So yeah, not nerve-wracking down here at all. Yeah, just get my slides up and yeah, introduce us slightly, and then yeah, we'll get to the event. So screen. And can everyone online see that? Perfect. So we are Green Tech Southwest. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've got an exciting event lined up, so I won't be waffling on for too much. I did just want to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. We're sponsored by LAYBL Recruitment, Crystal, and we've also recently welcomed a new sponsor who are here today, the Discourse. They are a UK-based design agency who support businesses and charities to change the narrative in society and in industry, particularly focusing around green tech. So yeah, massive thank you to Ed and Issy and the team for coming on board. Oh, I jumped the gun a bit on that little speech there, but we get the gist. And then yes, this is us. I'm Ellen. I'm one of your co-hosts, and you'll have either met Hannah and Mike sort of mincing around. You'll definitely be able to chat to them after with some networking as well. But yeah, it's definitely not about us, so I will glide on. We also have some fantastic sponsors who are running around here as well, and we wouldn't be able to do it without them. We've got Dave Parr, who's here today, Sam, who's on tech, and then Tariq, who's usually here, but you'll just have to enjoy his picture for now. So yeah, you probably all know this, but just yeah, a really brief introduction about what we are. So we're basically keen to showcase a variety of people who use tech to solve different sustainability problems using ingenious methods. We support local community and have an open and inclusive ethos. I don't have to go through the code of conduct with you because I know the main thing is always just be nice, be respectful. But if you did want to check it out, it is available on our website and we can share the link as well. Cool. So we have, yeah, speaking of our website, our fantastic Hannah has created greentechsouthwest.org, which is basically just become a massive catalogue of all the events that we've done over the past few years. You can watch all the recordings of the talks, access any resources that are shared throughout the talks, and then all the speaker slides as well. So this event will also be available at the end, yeah, sometime tomorrow. So yeah, be sure to check that out and feel free to share. So we're doing something called 60-second intros. Some of you will know what this is, but I see we've got a lot of new faces here. So it's basically an opportunity for anyone in the community to just shout out something that they're working on that they think other people might be interested in relating to green tech. So this could be a project that you're working on and you need help with people getting involved, where you need to like help share that, or just any help or guidance, or just anything like knowledge and resources that I mentioned that you'd want to share with others. Feel free to share that. So as we've got an online community and an in-person community, there's quite a lot of us here today. We have 3 speakers who we want to get to. So probably limit about 4 in-person 60-second intros. Are we saying that? Of course. So if you would like to do one, let me know and we can get you down here. And if you do not get to do one this time, you would have liked to let me know and either share something like a blurb on our website or make sure that you definitely get a slot for our next event. So upcoming events of interest, there are more events other than us. So 2 groups that we work with quite closely, definitely worth checking out. So we've got Climate Action Tech. They're a global community of 9,000 tech sector workers united tackling climate change. They run a host of fantastic online event and with loads of resources all throughout the year. So definitely worth checking those out. We'll make sure the links are all shared at the end of the event. And then Future Leap Network as well, one of the largest green business networks in the UK. They've got a couple of hubs here in Bristol. They also have a fantastic roster of in-person and online events. So definitely worth checking them out as well. A couple of other things of interest over the next month or so. So we've got digital collage workshops in London. They have a number of different dates. And it's just a 3-hour collaborative workshop to try and raise awareness environmental issues of digital technologies. Bristol Green Mingle, it's the Bristol Green Capital Partnerships networking event. They host it every month on the first Thursday of the month. Really great event to build connections, socialise, share ideas, and get involved with up and coming projects in and around Bristol. Decarbonised Software 2023. So it's a Green Software Foundation. We'll bring software practitioners across the globe together to highlight big wins and to see what's possible in the future. So again, we'll make sure this is all available to you to check out at the end of the event. Our next speaker-led events, so we're doing an online event just to keep you all on your toes in early December about its impact. So yeah, event information about that will be going out in the next week or so, and then we'll be looking to have another hybrid event in January. So we are looking for in-person speakers. If anyone got any ideas or would like to get involved, please do let us know. We'll share our email at the end, or you can get any of us on LinkedIn as well. So yes, your feedback means a lot. We'll make sure this is all available. Obviously, we do want to make these events as enjoyable as they could possibly be for you. So anything that you think of, just let us know. We're happy to hear it. Now for the main event. Oh yeah, pictures, sorry. Sorry, I was on autopilot there. So how we get the... We've got two online. Lined up and ready to go. Amazing. Shall we...
Oops. Heads up, this is the way with online stuff. There's quite a big delay between what's being fed out and what we're seeing. So you have to bear with us.
Cool. So I might just mute. Sorry, lots of chins in there. I'm gonna go away as well. Ooh. Yeah, cool. You making him big, Sam, or I'll make him big? Poor Chris is always our online test bunny. So. Oh.
Hello, Bristol. Am I on? Hannah, give me a thumb up. Oh, I've got a thumb up. Excellent. Hello, my name's Chris. I'm in Cambridge, which is sort of southwest, but only if you're looking from Norwich. I just wanted to quickly give a shout out to an event that I'm organising, or I'm helping to organise tomorrow, lunchtime, which is with the Working in Sustainable Tech meetup. We have a meetup once a month, roughly, online for free on Zoom. And this month's tomorrow is all about moving into climate tech. We've got two speakers who are going to talk about who've recently got into climate tech companies to talk about how they got into the job. And we've got two HR people, talent people from climate tech companies talking about how they got into their jobs, but also how they then select people, what they're looking for when they're looking for people coming into their companies. I think it's going to be quite interesting if anybody's interested in making a transition into green tech. This would be really, I hope, a useful session for them. So if you just, I can't share a link very easily, I'll share it on the chat, but if you Google Working in Sustainable Tech, I think we're probably the top of that, and it's a meetup group you can join and sign up and come along. So hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow. Just give a quick shout out to Gary at LAYBL, who I worked with last year. Hi Gary, nice to see you virtually. Looking forward to seeing your slot.
Yes. Ooh. I have a bit of a habit for creating a lot of feedback, so I have to get told what to do. Cool. So and then
can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay, great. Hi everyone, I'm Jess, the co-founder of usedandloved.com. Used and Loved is a secondhand search engine that brings together all the results from eBay, Oxfam, Etsy and 25 websites in total. And we are pivoting the business to curated secondhand fashion. So we're working with online content creators who share secondhand style outfit inspiration, and then we make those pictures that they already share shoppable. So we show the similar secondhand items available to buy to recreate those looks. So we are, we've had that pilot launched for the last couple of months or 3 months now, and we are on the cusp of something really big, we think, but we do definitely need some help. So it's just myself and Davey Brown, who he's my partner and co-founder, and it's just the two of us. So yeah, if anyone has any kind of front end experience or design or app experience that they want to just like give us some consultation advice for free, anything right now, because we are just about to start our second fundraising, so we just don't have any money basically. So any help that you can give us, because we think that we can make a massive impact on the future of fashion basically, because we did some market research and found that 73% of people who buy secondhand fashion online still buy 80% of their fashion new, and that's because that's where they go for a fun and inspiring shopping experience. So we really want to shift the percentage to more secondhand, and we think that we can do that by bridging the gap of the experiences that people have, to bring it a bit closer to the experience of buying new. So yeah, great to be here. I wish I could be there in person. Childcare fell through last minute, so we're not there, but yeah, great to meet everyone virtually. Thank you.
There we go. Cool. Perfect. Do we have anyone else from online or no? Perfect. So would anyone? Yes, Amazing. Do you want to come down first? Yeah. Just sorry, get rid of this so it's not as. Make sure you get that's for the online people.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, just
hold it up.
Yeah, just it's a bit awkward. Sorry.
Okay, I'll be really short.
Yeah, so that's for online people. But yeah, just introduce yourself.
Okay, I'll be really short. So I'm Lizzie Archer. I'm from global water charity Frank Water, which some of you might know. We're based here in Bristol. I just suddenly thought that it'd be a really good opportunity to tell some of you about our recent project that we've been doing called Beyond the Boundary, which is a project which has been funded by Apple. They wanted to look at their water usage around their factory sites in India. And through this work, we've managed to look at the water that's being used from the watershed around their factory sites. And so we've come up with this model. We're devising a model with them, but we've come up with a model. We're moving into the second year of the project. We want to work with clothing companies to reduce their water usage around their factory sites. So if anyone here has any ideas or thoughts or connections, and you think, actually, I'm responsible for the supply chain for a clothing company, I want to reduce the water usage, please do get in touch with us. We're looking for companies to work with us going forward on this model. So that's me, Lizzie, Frank Water. Thank you.
Amazing. So yeah, we'll make sure. Yeah, we'll see if we've got some newcomers. So are we able to squish up at all to see if anyone? I think there's a couple more spaces at the top there.
Able to squeeze up a little bit. That's amazing.
Thought I'd call them out there. So yeah, amazing. I'll make sure to get your details and share them on our website as well. I remember you. Perfect. Yeah, this is just a mic for. Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Kate. I'm with Crystal Hosting, who happens to sponsor this event. And I am here to tell you all, if you want to talk web hosting, hit me up. I'm right here for you.
As a 30-second intro, I think. Amazing. Have we got anyone else who is keen to do a... perfect. Yes, come down. There you go. It's just for the online people. Okay. So, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sam. I'm an associate at TLT, just around the corner. I specialise in tech contracts and have a green tech focus. So I'm really excited to be here and learn from all different people in the industry. If you have any thoughts about how TLT might be able to help you, or just want to chat about green tech, talk to me after the talk, so add me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. I'll get your details as well. Right, it's time for one more. Do we have any more volunteers or? Yes, perfect. Come.
Anyone else wants to speak?
Your hand was the only one up, so you're committed now. There you go. It's just for online.
Don't have to press anything, is
no,
it?
you don't.
Hi. Hi everyone, I'm Ed. I'm the Managing Director and Founder at The Discourse. We are a design agency on a mission to enable change makers to have a positive impact on society and the planet. To achieve that, we partner with businesses and charities, helping them to define their purpose and communicate in a clear and meaningful way through brand, the web and content. I'm super proud to say that we are partnering with Green Tech Southwest now, so thanks to Mike and Hannah and everyone for being so welcoming. And yeah, if anyone wants to catch up, I'm here for the rest of the evening. And yeah, thanks and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you. Brilliant. Well, that concludes the 60-second intros. Thank you so much for volunteering. We've got some crystal notebooks for those who did the 60-second intros in person. Come collect at some point in the evening, don't worry. And then anyone who did online intros, will get them posted to you, so we'll get your details. Yeah, Hannah's volunteered, you're heard. So I'm going to bring Mike on to introduce our wonderful speakers while I just dive my head in some tech.
Thanks, Ellen. We've got 3 amazing speakers today. Ellen's just going to sort Tim's laptop out, so Tim's up first. So Tim Kindberg from Sust. Tim was actually at our very first Green Tech event back in January 2020 with a slightly different product, but we're all absolutely delighted to welcome you back. If we can have a round of applause for Tim firstly. And also just a quick reminder, if you have got questions, we're going to do questions for all the speakers after the final talk. So we'll take your online questions if you can put them in the comments or the ask a question section. And I think Hannah's going to run over with her notes and I'll try and read them. But if you've got questions in the room, if you can hang on to them until after Jen and Gary have finished their talk, that'd be great. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the talk.
Is that wherever? Closer to the better.
Yeah. Okay.
Got a little clip on it. Hang on. There you go.
Oh, I see.
You press it just there. And then,
Yeah.
Yeah. Do a little lift music.
There you go.
Remember, Control Shift F.
Yes.
Cool.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm going to be talking for about 20-25 minutes. But this is a talk, but it's also really an invitation for participation. It's an invitation for participation in making our world more sustainable through buying more wisely in relation to fashion. It's an invitation to try the platform I'm going to describe to you. And it's an invitation, actually, if you, just as we've heard earlier, if anyone wants to help out, this is just me. So I do need some help. So the topic is disrupting online fashion shopping, and I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. Here's 2 often touted statistics about the fashion industry in relation to its carbon emissions and its resource utilization. Actually, those 2 statements are contradictory arithmetically. And that kind of characterizes the world that we're living in. There's a lot of data out there, but the provenance of that data is often questionable. I don't think anyone's trying to deceive anybody here, but different ways of measuring result in answers. But whatever way you cut it, it's probably circa 5% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. It's very substantial than the region of aviation. Massive consumer of natural and other resources, emitter of toxic chemicals, emitter of plastic. Typical employment practices are appalling. Wages are low, working conditions are terrible. That is the fashion industry. It's completely unsustainable. We all buy clothes. We all need to make better choices. And I'm going to talk specifically about how to bring about change in relation to online fashion shopping, which is approximately 25% of fashion purchasing in the UK. And while there's a lot of very bad stuff that happens,
It also happens to be an area where there's a huge amount of goodwill and consciousness about just what needs to change. And that's one of the reasons I'm working in fashion rather than any other type of commodity. So the notion of disrupting online fashion consumption is as follows, or online fashion shopping, I should say, is as follows. There's two things to it. One is to empower us to make better fashion choices, more sustainable choices. The other, and this is in a sense is the real goal, is to motivate change brands to make more sustainable items. So I'm interested in both of those goals, which are twin goals, which can go together. I did make a sacrifice to the demo gods this morning, and I'm going to demo this to you. So that is bog standard ASOS website. It's running in Chrome. It's running the Sust browser extension, which also runs in Safari, Firefox, and Edge. And rather incautiously, I usually wing it on these things, but there you go. So it's running an algorithm which identifies products in websites. And that algorithm's identified 4 fashion products in that web page. And it's placed next to the products. You can just see the little Sust buttons. There's some traffic light style coding going on in there. I'm not going to go into the details of this because I don't have time. There's some traffic light coding going on there with respect to the transparency measured by a third party of the brands that have made these products, and with respect to that's fashion comes from Fashion Revolution, and also with respect to the Clean Clothes Campaign's Fair Wages Paid score ranking of those corporations. Essentially, when they pay their workers, roughly where are they in relation to the median wage in the company where it's made? And they're all red. It's always red. And you can imagine that there are various third-party sources of information which I could bring to bear in color code as you're wandering around, especially tempting to demo gods at this point. There's a feature here where I can actually not want to see the demo gods. Oh, actually, it's not going to work in relation to those particular products on this particular occasion, so I'll scrap that for the moment. But you can see that I get that information, but then if I click, I don't know how clear this is going to be, but I get a bunch of other information that I can access. And in particular, what I've got here is a way of not buying that product new, but buying an alternative that's used or rented or getting something upcycled. So it offers me what I want to actually search for. I don't particularly want an ASOS one. I do want chunky design, knit. That's pink. No, I go without pink. We heard about Used and Loved earlier. That's a counterpart to Rummage, which is another local aggregator of secondhand sites. I'm at the mercy of Rummage at the moment. But you get the point that I've extracted keywords. I've allowed you to modify those keywords as you would like. And I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to get you. Let's see if let's try that again with something else. Yeah, let's put back the pink, you think. Chunky. Let's knit. Let's get rid of mini. Let's see. Let's go to Beyond Retro. No, let's go to eBay directly. There you go. So the idea is in a very small number of clicks to get you to something equivalent or thereabouts secondhand, which is intrinsically more sustainable than buying something new. Similarly, I had other platforms there to get it rented or to get it or to prompt you to upcycle something that you already wear. Always better than new. Maybe you don't want to do that on this occasion. You want to buy something new, in which case there's another level, which is to go to the website. And that's a page that the web has just generated about that particular product. So there's really nothing on it at the moment. I'm just flying around websites at the moment, unplanned. So, but what I would be able to do on this is things like upvote and downvote it for sustainability or for quality. I can do things like register a change, because this is a crowdsourcing website now, right? So if that initial information doesn't answer your questions, you can ask your question on this website, or you can supply and contribute information on that website about that product or the brand that made it. You can supply metadata here. You can go and find something that's more sustainable, paste its URL in there, paste in why you think it's more sustainable, and submit it. And that alternative will then appear in searches that people make against the same keywords and against that product. So you can provide your idea of what's better. You can also, involved in a dialogue down here, I can petition the brand with a question that I have about the product in a public website. It's down to the brand to respond to that. Other people can +1 that, so it is a petition rather than a question. Other people can +1 that. You're petitioning the brand publicly, and you're asking the brand to answer the question. So it's a challenge to the brand to answer your questions about the products that they are selling you. Like, how much did you pay the people who made this? That kind of thing. You could also ask other Sust users a question, something along the lines of, well, it says it's made out of recycled polyester. Is that really better than polyester? How much better it is? And then other people can chime in on that. And people can upvote, downvote questions and answers. So that, in a nutshell, is Sust. You've got a browser extension that provides the first level of information. Then you can go to the crowdsourcing website to contribute to or ask about other information. And it works on mostly mainstream websites. And I do mean mainstream websites. I can make it run on Sheen if you want me to. It'll all be red. Okay. I will run on Sheen. It runs about 45 mostly high street websites. I'm deliberately running on high street websites because that's where we need to make the change. Not in a little niche of sustainable fashion providers, but you need to make people who use Sheen make a change, and people who use Exos make a change. Coming back to that in a second. So if you look at the phenomenon of online shopping, this is kind of part of academic research. I forgot to say, actually, that consumer research is joint with the University of Bristol, which funded the consumer research. And if you go to the website, there's a much more detailed report about this research. The thing about fashion is it's a juggernaut. It's a culturally ingrained juggernaut. We buy it for all kinds of culturally important reasons. And if you ask people, they may be concerned about various sustainability issues, but they will always put fashionable first in many cases. They'll put fit, comfort, price-performance ratio, etc. first before sustainability, most of them, not all of them. And they don't necessarily, to the extent they are willing to try and do better, they don't really have the time to do better. When we talk to people about sustainably minded people, people who are identified as such, about the landscape here, we encountered 3 kind of key people, if you like, or types of person that we encountered. Billy Bees, who, you know, you've got toddlers crawling on the floor while you're trying to shop. You just don't have time. You want somebody to tell you what to do better. Shoppers would do a bit more than that. They will have conversations with other people about their sustainable fashion issues, and they will maybe ask a brand a question. And they've got the detectives. So I've set up a crowdsourcing website because I have got detectives, people who spend hours finding stuff out, but as an individual action kind of thing. Okay, so there are a lot of people out there who will really go into this deeply. But the landscape is of a variety of motivations depending on what your ethical or sustainable issue is, lots of different life circumstances, a great deal of complexity that you cannot factor away, a lot of confusion and a lot of guilt because of that, people ending up buying something they really didn't want to buy, and people having to make trade-offs. So it's quite a tough environment, but there are people trying to make a change here. And I won't go into this, I'll skip over it largely, but all the way back to the 18th century, we have examples of successful consumer action against various political forces or corporate forces. And as we've come towards the recent past, obviously we're going online, and the idea is that Sust would be a platform for online action. Many people want to minimize the personal impact, but they find it difficult to shop sustainably. That's the point. They'd like to be better informed. They'd like to help one another be informed, and they want to engage in a constructive dialogue with brands. Nobody wants to have an antagonistic relationship with Shein, or however awful you think Shein is. They don't want to. They'd rather have Shein do better and have a constructive dialogue about that. So I'm really going to talk now about the sort of basis on which we designed Sust to try and make a change. So I'm going to describe to you 3 intersections which I believe are opportunities for change. So the first thing is that really we're looking at a landscape of brand domination. These are very wealthy organizations that produce very shiny websites, very shiny stores. They play on our to have nice clothes, have nice things. They're knowing us, they're scripting us, they're often greenwashing us, although legislation is going to do something about that soon. That's the online world, the reality of the online world. The people who want to do better are often only offline. They're often going to charity shops, they're often doing repairs and upcycling. They're not really participating in online. However, one way you can make a change is to bring those people back online. They're already doing some of their research online. Bring them back online because they are often experts. They can help the rest of us do better. And also, they're doing something as an individual action now, which if they all did it together, would be much more powerful. The second is between sustainability and what we came to call the scroll. The scroll is when people, even if you shop in charity shops or whatever, a lot of people will go online and they'll scroll for beautiful clothes. These clothes are beautiful, right? They're beautiful. They have all kinds of lovely characteristics that you want. You want because you like nice things. And the scroll is an aesthetically, emotionally rewarding thing. You scroll around websites, you these gorgeous things, even if you're only looking for inspiration, you're not looking to buy. So that is intention. You've got the pleasure of the scroll versus the pain of sustainability, and they're largely divorced from one another. You live in one place or the other. But again, opportunity for change is to work in that intersection, to try to allow people the liberty of the scroll, but to make it easy for them to go from the scroll to doing better. And then you have power. You have the power of brands providing information to you with, at least a veneer of authenticity. Again, those are very wealthy corporations with their lack of transparency. That's the kind of the information landscape of these websites. And if you look at on the other side, you have highly fragmented, disaggregated sources of information to help us do better, like Fashion Revolution's Fashion Transparency Index, which is hard to find. I'm scrolling on ASOS. How am I supposed to get? Where can I get the Fashion Transparency Index? The thing I'm looking at. Can I get my phone out? Go to another website. Blah blah blah. So you can make a change by bringing that information to scroll. And that's what we've just seen. And the idea is to make people more Sust, which is where the thing comes from. Make small, clear steps based on good practice, like secondhand is always better than new. Build on the strong ethical cultures, but allow that people are confused about things. We need to ask questions. We don't know what we're doing half the time. Bring sustainability to the routine point of purchase. So in other words, while I'm looking at buying something, I want the information I need to do better than that thing I'm looking at. And grow a community of sustainable consumers. Those are the way to bring change. So you've got the browser extension, which brings information to the scroll in the web page you're actually looking at buying something from. 45 websites currently. Tell me if there's a website you want it to work on that's not on my list. And it's bringing the first level of information to busy bees and to some extent helpers. And then you've got the website, which is going to help you find new alternatives if that's really what you need to do. We all need to buy knickers. Stitch helps you stitch the brand and product metadata, helps you petition brands with questions, publicly ask the crowd a question, upvote, downvote. For those of you who use Stack Overflow, this program is amongst you. It's more or less based on the paradigm of Stack Overflow. Instead of solving programming problems, we're crowdsourcing solutions to sustainable fashion problems. Upvote, downvote, contributions, and we're encouraging and rewarding those brands to behave responsibly. If they answer your questions and they give you bona fide answers to your questions that you can respect, upvote them. Okay, the ones that are doing well, they deserve our custom. Okay, the ones that are not, don't. Be part of a community for change. And my sort of overall philosophy is let's make the information we need in general to make more sustainable decisions part of our digital commonwealth. Should not be behind paywalls. None of this is ever going to be behind a paywall. So it should not be behind a paywall. We need that information. We need to procure that information and be Sust in order to make a world a better place. Please join the Sust community. Go to sust.earth, download it, try it, register, try making a contribution, even if it's just a little bit of metadata stitching. Sign up for the newsletter, fill out the survey. And if you know anybody who is on a sustainability mission and has experience of fundraising, helping with financial model, please let me know. Come up to me afterwards, tell me who that person is, because I need that person in my life. And that's it. So thank you, everybody, for your attention. I think we're going to have questions after the next talks. Yeah. Will I just, yeah.
Thank you very much, Tim. Hope you enjoyed that at home. Yeah, we will, as Tim said, we will take questions after Jen and Gary's talk. I think whilst we get Jen and Gary set up, if you want to go and quickly grab a drink and a bit of pizza, a fairly strict 2 minutes, if that's okay. And then we'll get everyone back for the next talk. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I think Ellen's lost a few minutes off her life there, but well done for fixing it. Great. So yeah, our next speakers are Jen and Gary from LAYBL. Really excited about this one. So yeah, again, questions at the end. I'll bring Tim back, and yeah, we'll get through as many as we can. So over to you.
Thanks. Right. So, what's one thing everybody in this room has in common? It's all right, thankfully, or maybe unfortunately, I don't know how this room swings. But how much do you really know about the clothes that you're buying and wearing? Probably not an awful lot, you know, as kind of Tim was talking about, you know, apart from what you like and maybe don't like. No offense if you do like those boots. And that's fair, you know, because there isn't loads of information out there. And even when there is, you have to do loads of digging to find it. And often what can be found is a bit of a catch-all in the form of it's sustainable. Pardon me. And there's loads of talk in the clothing industry, well, in every industry really, but particularly in the fashion world about sustainability. But what does that really mean? You know, because what it means to you will be really different to what it means to me. So how do we even define the term sustainability? For me, I prefer to focus on facts and data, because these have a much bigger impact on my understanding than a word that's, you know, actually probably a bit overused and maybe is losing its impact. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some facts around what is actually happening in the clothing industry right now. So 100 billion items of clothing is produced every year, yet less than 20% is reused or recycled. Pardon me. So that means 92 million tons is discarded every year. To put that into context, that's the same as a rubbish truck of clothes being tipped into landfill every second, or the height of Mount Everest being filled every 7 minutes. But do you know where these clothes come from? Probably not, because nobody knows. And that's the real problem here. There's no traceability with clothes, which means there's a lack of accountability and responsibility from a production side and consumption side. So that means, you know, brands and retailers have no visibility around their products once they leave the shop. And us as consumers find it really hard to find something, to do something more responsible with our clothes when we no longer want them, you know, like selling them on eBay is it's really time consuming. And even charities are overwhelmed by the volume of donations that they receive. And all of this leads to more clothes ending up in landfills across the and deserts across the globe. So we started LAYBL because we knew that there was something that could be done to bring traceability to clothing and transparency to the industry. And, you know, the label seemed like a really good place to start because every garment's got one, whether you cut it out or not. And what if you could digitize it? Then you've got traceability for the garment. But you could also have so much more, like care instructions or a better user experience for the consumer. And if you digitize the label, you solve the traceability issue. And that's what we're doing at LAYBL. We make traceability possible for every garment on the planet by tracking an item of clothing from point of sale throughout its entire life using unique digital IDs. And by doing that, we're giving brands a deeper understanding of the longevity, pardon me, resale and rental values of the products that they produce, which in turn gives them data and analysis to help with better, more circular business decisions, but it also gives them some new revenue opportunities as well. And at the same time, we're giving a better experience for us as consumers, who are often forgot about, by providing a free app that instantly creates a smart wardrobe of every purchase and lets you see what you own. And makes it super easy to resell, repair, rent, or recycle, all with just one click. So it's simple, frictionless, and for everyone, which means it's a win-win for the environment. And our big goal with LAYBL is to reduce the volume of clothing waste. And this isn't something that we can do on our own. It's not something anybody can do on their own, really, which is why we're bringing the entire circular ecosystem together as one community to work towards this. So that, you know, LAYBL acts as the hub that brings together the clothing brands, us as consumers, reselling platforms, repair services, rental companies, charities, etc. And by working together, we'll go so much further than we would if we were all trying to do this on our own. So seeing as this is Bristol Green Tech, I'm going to hand over to Gary to dive a little deeper into the tech side of things and how this all works.
So the technology first. You need a dress code for these things. These types of garment will work and not. Oh.
It's a very inclusive microphone.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Gary. I'm the CTO of LAYBL. That in a startup means that I'm literally all of the development and not really a CTO. But you have to present yourself in these ways when you do the fundraising and stuff like that. First of all, I wanted to say thanks so much for seeing so many people here. It gives me a lot of heart that for Mike to say this is the most attended event, because I think sometimes when you're on a mission, you sometimes think you're going a bit mental. So to actually see people turn up and want to hear about it kind of makes you hope that perhaps you're not. Okie doke. So just before I dive really right into the guts of what LAYBL is, I just want to talk about what the existing solutions are in this space. Have you all heard of the digital product passport? Anyone heard of this thrown around? So it's an EU thing that's coming, and it's for all products, but it's fashion is one of the sectors that they really want to focus on when they launch this thing. Now, I think it's a really great idea. The idea that an ID can be created for a product, and you can find out all the information, where it came from, how it was made, how much carbon was produced, where it's been, where it's travelled, how many air miles, and when it's been sold, where, etc. So really, really great idea. But I think there are some issues with this. It's going to happen. We know the EU has this power. They made Apple put USB-C in the iPhone. So if they're going to do the product passport, let's face it, it's going to happen. Now, the two main ways of delivering that at the moment boil down to two technologies, RFID and QR codes. So the idea being that we put those in the clothing. Now, I have some concerns around doing that. First of all, RFID. So, really great bit of technology. We can store some data on there. You don't need an internet connection to interact with it. And it's long-lived. But part of the problem that really concerns me is that it's technically waste electronics. So we're trying to solve a waste problem, and what we're going to do is we're going to take an even more complex piece of waste, and we're going to put that in the garment to try and solve the waste problem. So, I think it will work, but I have concerns that we're just going to suddenly chuck this into every garment and just hope it works and hope there's a point to it. QR codes, a bit better. For those that know, for most intents and purposes, a QR code is normally just a pictorial form of a URL. So you need an internet to do anything with it, and you also need something to respond to that. You can encode other data in a QR code, but for me it's such a good technology because you just get your phone out and scan it, and it just already works, and you can start a journey. Now, QR codes are wonderfully robust. That's what they're famous for. But the problem is attaching that to a garment. You've got two options. You can print it, and if you've ever bought any screen printed garment, you know that how many washes before the little finer small bits start to come away and it degrades. It's not permanent. With the best one in the world, it's not permanent. The alternative is weaving them into the label. That works. But I've bought from this brand before, and even though a QR code is robust, by the time this is not being printed in high definition onto a nice surface, it's being weaved into a label. So we're probably already pushing the limits of the QR code, and then we start to wash it, and it crinkles and it shrinks, and before you know it, you scan it, it doesn't work, it's not permanent. So both of these approaches have got issues, and this is before we get to the bulk of fashion brands, where we've got a cost, time, and disruptiveness to doing this. A fashion brand will be making a product now that you might be buying in 12 to 18 months time. So we're going to make this huge investment in a technology. We don't really know how people are going to use it. And if we see any benefit from it, it's going to be in 18 months time. That's a really big ask, especially for small and independent fashion brands. And even if they put this technology in the garments, they still need some software to do anything with it. So, we're asking, in short, we're putting a very large cart before the horse and just hoping it will move. So I think things are going to go this way, but I have concerns, and I think as a startup software developer, my culture is agile. Let's try things, let's see what works, and let's make the big decisions when we're better informed. So, how does they all work? First of all, Jen and mine's background is in e-commerce. We've done e-commerce at scale. We've done e-commerce for people like Dyson. I've got some of my colleagues here. Krispy Kreme, Tommy Tippy, PayPal, right? So, that has been our bread and butter. And a big chunk of that has been just taking transactions and moving them around and putting them into databases and forming insights from that data. So, it kind of, when we wanted to sort of look at the problems and how we can solve what Jen's been talking about, it put us in a good place to sort of go, okay, can we do something that is a symbolic digital only ID? Something that gives us maybe 80% of the accuracy, 80% of the benefit, but just 20% of the cost and pain. And we can start using it tomorrow, not in 18 months' time. And even then, actually, when we sort of look at the softwares and systems that businesses are using, the sum up machines, Shopify being online, Shopify being EPOS in the store, is that, although this is an e-commerce first approach, a lot of your in-store transactions are actually e-commerce as well now. It's the same system. So we really realized that perhaps we could do something quite light, fast, and sort of very usable here. So how does it all start? So what LAYBL is a platform. It's a database. It's an API. And all we need to do is just establish an API connection with a brand store. We've kept it really simple. Just a set of credentials. We write what I call a connector between LAYBL and the store. Shopify we support out of the box. We're going to roll out support for other platforms, Adobe Commerce, Magento, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, etc. But basically, any brand, even if they've got a web-enabled e-commerce system or an ERP, anything, we can write a connector and just have LAYBL chat to it completely seamlessly. Now, one of the big things we wanted to do with the LAYBL platform was that it's automated at its core. So it was really important to us that fashion brands didn't feel like this was work. It was another tool, another pet to babysit, just more admin. We wanted to be really seamless in the background. So right at the heart of LAYBL is what we sort of call our automation bots. But basically, LAYBL is running 24/7. Even right now, it's running away and it's chatting to all our different e-commerce stores. And we are collecting catalog updates, getting new photos. Somebody's changed the care instructions. It's all being pulled down. Crucially, new orders. As soon as an order is fulfilled, we get a notification and we pull that into LAYBL. And also processing returns, because it's really important. People might order 2, 3 different sizes of something, they send it to you back. We don't want a wardrobe full of all of those things. So the next part of LAYBL is the bit where we kind of engage with the consumer. So LAYBL is available as a mobile app. It's a smart connected wardrobe, available on Apple and Google Play stores. There are other wardrobe apps. They're a common thing. They've been done before. But they ultimately rely on you, the consumer, to upload your own pictures and populate the content. And there's a few problems with that. First of all, there's no consistency. So I might own a pair of Levi's, you might own a pair of Levi's, you might do. Now, we're humans. We're just going to punch this data in, and suddenly we've got the same product entered several different times. There's no consistency. So even if we wanted to build up some data insights around that, we've just got such a fragmented data set that we're not really able to do much with that. The other problem is, a lot of these wardrobe apps are largely just fronts for trying to build marketplaces. I'm not against that. I think we should be buying pre-owned clothing more. However, a lot of those apps have a counterfeit product problem, because you can just add your own stuff and then just sell it to someone going, yeah, I've sold this from my marketplace, counterfeit products. With the way it looks, we've got that consistency in data, but we've got verified purchases. So you, as a user of the app, you haven't had to do anything to get your products in the app. But also, that this is a verified product, and you can prove that you've got the history of everything. So the key data that you will get when you use LAYBL and you've bought from a LAYBL connected brand is you've got that record of purchase. So the date you purchased it and who you purchased it from. Okay, if you've ever lost the receipts or anything, that info is in LAYBL. The other thing, if you like to cut the labels out, most people sensory problems. My wife's always literally cutting labels out because she's like, oh, it's got labels. Labels in a weird place. You can cut those labels out because the care and materials data is always in the LAYBL app. You've always got access to it. In fact, actually, some of the pilot brands we're working with, they're already shipping borderline labelless clothes. So they might have a bit of branding and the size, and that's it. And I've purchased from them, and it's come into my LAYBL app, and I go to my LAYBL app for my care instructions when I need to wash or whatever. So get rid of those labels as far as I'm concerned. So another key part about the consumer app is that as consumers, some of us want brands to be better and more sustainable. When we were doing our research, there were also consumers who, are largely indifferent, but if you kind of make it easy, they'd rather do the good thing if they can. But I think we need to understand, Tim, I know a lot of big fashion brands are evil, but a lot of the ones we speak to, even the ones that are really trying, if they have this problem that once we've sold it, we don't know what happens to it. Like, we'd love to be more accountable, but once it's gone, it's gone. What am I to do? So LAYBL is also about creating, as Jen said, a community between consumer and the brands and the products they own. And what LAYBL gives you an opportunity to do then is to start to feedback and actually influence the brands you care about. Rather than just reviews being a case of like, you've been bribed to give a 5-star review so you get 20% off, and that's like one category review. The other one is the buttons have all fallen off on the first wear, it's terrible, 1 star, right? That's pretty much my experience of reviews online. LAYBL wants you to give periodic reviews. We call it lifetime reviews. So throughout the life of the product, literally tell the brands how it's washing, how the fit and quality is after 1 month, 3 months, 9 months, 12 months. I want to know, if a brand's telling me this is quality, I want to know that it's still quality and it's still washing well that far into its life. Now, you as a community label can do that now. You can actually champion the brands you care about and give them this data that says, we want you to invest in a quality, sustainable product, and here's the proof. Another aspect of the LAYBL app is, again, when we sort of research with consumers, there was a group, as I said, that just really want to do the right thing. But part of the feedback is that they want to be more circular. They don't call it that because not everyone knows that circularity is a thing yet. But it is that movement away from take, make, waste. And we want to encourage more buying pre-owned or more recycling or products that are made from recycled. So we are literally taking less from the environment and we're keeping it almost in a spin cycle. That's the circularity aspect. There's a big group that wants to do that, but the problem is it's hard. They want to do the right thing, but there's no info, or I want to recycle it, but I want to know I'm doing it well. I was sending my recycling out with the local authority, and then found out they were just shredding it and putting it in packaging, or it gets sent to some poor country that's just buying off of us and piling it up. So, people want to do the right thing, but they need help. And then there's the other category, which is the ones who are largely indifferent, but they are the people that they'll still sort their recycling and they'll separate their food waste if it's easy. They'd rather do the right thing if it's easy. And I'm fine with that. If we can help those sort of indifferent people who will lean the way of good if it's easy, then we can try and help them do that. So a big part of LAYBL at the moment as well is that there is coaching content in the app. So when you're feeding back, and you might say on LAYBL that I still own it. I'm thinking of selling it actually. I'm a bit bored with it. Don't feel guilty. Let's help you get the most money you can for that. So we will recommend marketplaces. Basically help you find the best ways to get the most for that, because you are more likely to reinvest in sustainable quality clothing new, if that's really what you want to do. Then here's how to keep the previous piece in circulation so you can get as much back so you can reinvest better, but also feel a bit less guilty about that desire to purchase new. Let's face it, we're not going to stop people buying new clothing. So LAYBL is very much about kind of trying to help new purchases be better and to keep those clothing in circularity. LAYBL also lets you, so we do give coaching about, how to sort of repair and do alterations. But a really key thing as well is you can log those repairs and alterations. So actually, you get your sort of little product timelines. That LAYBL starts to become almost like a bit of a service history, a bit of a logbook for the garments you own. And then if you do choose to transfer ownership, which you can do through LAYBL, we do encourage when people sell things to transfer to a new owner. The story continues, and that's what we talk about when we want to make, tell the life story of a garment, so that you as a sustainable fashion brand can say that our products, if you buy from us, it will last typically 3 to 5 years, and it will probably go on to have 3 different owners. Now, if you want to talk about sustainability, you can make it green, but actually keeping it in circularity and in use for as long as possible. I'd much rather have a product last that long than have a really greenly made product that falls to bits after 6 months. You know, there's more than one aspect to this. So, you know, that's really one of the things we're trying to do here. So the LAYBL app connects back to the LAYBL platform, which we talked about. There'll be a diagram of this in a minute. Now, for the brands, we give them what we call the LAYBL dashboard, which is basically the SaaS product that we're selling, software as a service. Brands buy LAYBL, we put them on LAYBL, their consumers can use it for free. That's our model. And then for the brands, they get access to this dashboard. And for them, it's literally Google Analytics, but for the products they've sold. That's what we're trying to do here. So, yeah, when they want to talk about the quality of their product, the how long it lasts and everything, what we're trying to do here is actually give them some data to back up these claims, because otherwise we end up with either greenwashing or the new one, which is green hushing, which is where we just shut our mouths and just keep our heads down and hope this will go away. Both are equally harmful. Sustainability, you said, is losing its value as a word. But for LAYBL, I think, transparency. Let's not call it sustainable. Let's just tell people how long our stuff lasts and how well it's reviewed over a long period of time. That's what we're trying to do here, really, is kind of give brands a chance of being accountable, give them a chance of showing consumers what their products are really like, and everyone can win here. Okay, so I just sort of give an overview of the LAYBL architecture. This is what we've built. So we talk about the LAYBL platform. This is basically our database, our API in the middle. We've got the consumers over here. Consumers are shopping. They're using the LAYBL app. They're giving their ratings, feedback, and usage data back into the platform. We're receiving new catalog items, orders, and returns continually on an automated basis. And then we've got the brands over there in the top corner who are obviously looking after their stores, and they are using the LAYBL dashboard to basically understand what's going on in our LAYBL platform. And then we've got down here, this is our key thing on our roadmap, so I'll talk about some LAYBL roadmap in a minute. But this ability for LAYBL to actually plug into the circular economy and to connect to those services. Right. Roadmap. Okay, so our ambition really is for LAYBL to literally be that hub of the circular economy. So we've talked a lot about new processes coming in and us looking after this with the consumer, but LAYBL is about keeping clothing out of landfill, and it is about sort of telling that story of the onward journey and keeping the product going. So, the intention is that we're going to integrate with marketplaces. So if you know anybody that's a bit of a hobby clothing seller, they like to buy the clothes, but they like to resell it, it can take you all evening to list one garment on eBay, Facebook, Vinted, Depop, etc. You've got to go to each one. You've got to do your own photography. It's a pain. Okay. Now imagine we've got that data already in LAYBL. Now imagine we connect all of your marketplace accounts, and with one or two taps, you can author the listing and submit to all those marketplaces. Suddenly, you've turned that whole evening's work to sell one garment into minutes work. Repairs and alterations. There's loads of startups popping up around this. You might have heard of the Deliveroo of clothing repairs and stuff. These things are happening. Repair is something I'm quite passionate about. You said, Tim, that people are doing this. Like, repair is really important. I'm risk of going off piece here, but got a few minutes. Fine. Right, repair your clothing. Don't think about how much it costs you. Don't worry about the expense of the repair and think, well, I could almost buy a new one for that. Because when you bought that product, you paid for the privilege to take those materials out of the environment and to have people make that into something. And it's an asset, and you should look after it, and you should just repair it. Because if it wasn't broken, you would buy it again probably. So just look after it and repair it. Right, recycling and buyback schemes as well. So even if the manufacturers themselves, take back bags, whatever, one of the best things you can recycle is if the manufacturer takes it back and they guarantee, one of our brands, Neem, does this. They'll give you a buyback bag. You fill it with 1 kilo, 2 kilos of clothing. They'll give you a discount for the next purchase, but they will turn all of that into, they have a recycled range. So you're sat there going like, oh my god, that could be my t-shirt that I sent back, and it's in a new t-shirt. So I think that's really cool. Right, we are going to be expanding on our smart wardrobe. I have to rattle now, aren't I? Right, list sub wardrobes. One of the first things when we sort of released LAYBL, people said, well, What about when I buy stuff for my kids or my pets? I've got whippets. They hate the cold. They've got jumpers, coats. I have to buy clothes for my dogs. They're not going to have a label app for themselves. So yeah, definitely something we want to look in. Kids, school uniform, it's carnage, isn't it? And then a recommendation agent as well. So the idea that there are apps out there that will kind of like create looks for you, but I think we can go further. Bear in mind, we've got your wardrobe already in the app. What if you could say, I am going to Madeira on holiday in July for 2 weeks. And we can go, well, the weather's typically this is the periods of the day, and actually make a pack list just from that one command. That is the stuff you get hyper excited about, isn't it? Customer support. As a CTO, I have always had to buy in software and products and stuff, and support's just a big thing. It's one of the first things you ask about. Now, through the LAYBL app, if somebody starts to leave a poor review, what if we could step in and say, can the brand, the brand actually wants to help you with this. Like, don't just leave a crappy review. If it's, they might repair it. They might, they want to help. Okay, the brands that we are talking to about LAYBL, they want to have that connection with the customers. They want to know, when their products fail in a way that is perhaps not a rage return, but just, well, that was a bit crap, and just don't wear it again. Right? That's the clothing we have to save. Right? Reacting to issues. The other thing as well is that the e-commerce side of things. I used to think when I went into a shoe shop and they tried to sell me protective spray that it was just like trying to rip me off. Right? But it turns out my shoes last longer if I use protective spray, right? And that's just a consumable that runs out. We can help people keep their clothes going for longer by just helping them get this stuff, make it easier. And expanding on the label ID. That's fine. The last thing I want to say then is, the digital product passport is coming. I think it's too hard. It's too big. It's too expensive. It's going to be trauma. LAYBL is an opportunity to kind of come at this from the other end and actually start to use this and understand how it's going to work. You can start using it tomorrow. You don't need to modify your inventory. And, together we can start to understand what this actually means and how consumers are going to use it. So working together, keep clothes out of landfill, one label at a time. Thank you very much. This is why I got to the loo, isn't it?
Thank you so much, Gary and Jen. Yeah, 2 fantastic talks. So yeah, just a quick round of applause for both. Okay, I think we've probably got about 5-10 minutes for questions. So we'll take some questions from the room to start with, and I think Ellen is going to run up and down with our other mic, just so the people at home can hear as well. So any questions, Justin? Just 1 second, sorry. For the blue, there we go.
So it's about LAYBL. So in the mobile app, how do you identify the product? Because I think you were comparing of the new product that's going to happen, that is a way to identify when you got the product, look at it, information, and then you're providing a mobile app. So there is a way to help on that?
Yeah, so because we've connected LAYBL to the e-commerce store, we are literally getting their catalog down as data, continually updated, and the individual transactions that are being made are being sent to us. So we ultimately we already know the products, we've got your catalog, so the line items in your order come down, and as we sort of iterate through each one, we create a label ID for it at that point. So we have a copy of the shop's inventory, we have a copy of what you've just ordered.
So it need to be an order online, not something that I'm buying. I bought in a shop. A shop, so it need to be.
But what you did mention in the talk is that a lot of these shops are, they're using the same kind of digital systems in their stores now. You're being increasingly asked for your email address. They can send you your receipt. Mm-hmm. So again, one of the brands we're working with is their kind of till system is connected to their web shop. So we are getting those bricks and mortar transactions as well.
But if this link is broken, can you help with the mobile app to? I got already the product at home. Can you help me to identify it through the mobile app?
Yeah. So I kind of rushed through the roadmap a bit. So one of the things we do want to work on is that ability to add those kind of past and offline purchases. one of the things we are keen to do is kind of have that kind of verification. Until we do put the tech in the garments, we do need to find ways to do that. So, bear in mind that we're going to have a huge catalog of all your products and all the photography. We may look at, sort of machine learning and image recognition so that, you could take a picture and go, look, I've got a whatever brand garment. Okay, take a picture of it. And, we can sort of look at that picture, compare it against the database of products we've got. So we're looking into those sorts of ways of doing it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Just here, Jan.
Hello. Very impressive. Both seem really lightweight solutions in their own sense. Do you see a way that you could integrate Sust into LAYBL, Gary? What if, or the other way around? Yes. What if, when someone's tired of a piece of clothing, they then use Sust to find an even better alternative?
Yeah, I mean, it's all possible. Like I said, we want LAYBL to be the hub of the circular economy. I'm sure you want Sust to be the hub. But I think there can only be benefits from having more data and more information sort of to enforce those decisions. I guess trying to think about this, Sust, I guess, comes before LAYBL in the journey. We're post-sale, Sust is pre-sale.
But your longevity information could come through my platform, basically. I could feature that as a third-party source of information. Yeah.
I like it.
It's a great question.
Yeah, I'm coming. Getting my steps in.
Thank you very much. I've got a friend who works in accessible fashion for people, clothing for disabilities. She's been on Channel 4's Unique Boutique. She's been on Dragon's Den. She's been on the Forbes list of top 100 people, but she still has real problems getting buy-in from big brands. So what are your strategies for getting buy-in from the bigger brands?
Who was Sust or LAYBL?
Either or, both.
You go ahead.
So you talk. I'm not quite sure I heard the question, but it's to do with people who, for whom ordinary off-the-shelf clothing isn't necessarily as good.
It was more to point to the fact that she's achieved a lot, but she still has trouble getting buy-in from the big brands. Right. So what are your strategies for getting buy-in from the bigger brands?
Well, it's to make a collective petitioning of the brands. So if the consumers of that brand's products are asking for something, then that's the power that we have, because we have a collective purchasing power, which is that's the only thing that we have as consumers, right? Is our collective purchasing power and the denial thereof. That's where all power fundamentally resides, in collective action like that.
I'm quite curious about the digital product passport, so I'm following that quite closely, because I do believe that when it comes to sustainability, that legislation is one of the most powerful tools we have. We tried to get people to give up carrier bags for nearly forever, and then we just legislated it, and then overnight we're just like, okay, cool, I'll take a tote bag then, right? And same with Apple and the USB-C. So while I'm not saying I'm all for big, powerful, almighty state, I think when you need something done for the power of good, legislation is one of the most important things. And I think if the digital product passport does its job, the likes of ASOS and Shein aren't going to have a choice. They're going to have to fall in line. Otherwise, they're just going to simply not be allowed to trade. And that's the kind of power that the product passport will have. Have anything?
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. With Matt up there.
Hi, yeah, thank you so much for the talk. It's for LAYBL. So it's really interesting, your sort of proposition for the initial sale of a customer, that you're going to sort of help them with that initial sale. A lot of companies care about the customer lifetime value, and that's a really key part of it. At the minute, it looks like you're sort of then pushing that customer to go and essentially sell on other marketplaces and keep that product for a really long time, which I completely see is the right and correct thing to do. How do we encourage sort of that long-term value for the retailer, essentially, and actually, I can see the incentive over the next 2 to 3 years. Will that then suddenly drop off as they realize they're now not getting repeat custom? I know there are some fashion retailers who are offering recycling schemes where they don't buy the clothing back, but they will sell it on the customer's behalf for a small fee. Yeah, what are you doing on that sort of line?
Yeah, so it is kind of that. So there's lots of brands that are there's loads of white label solutions that allow brands to have a reseller platform themselves, so that's like another revenue stream for them. But also, what we realize is that they're not getting any data when stuff is sold on a reseller platform, so they have no idea beyond what they sell. And then they also don't know about all the customers that are buying that product, but have bought it direct from them. So what we can give them with LAYBL is we can not give them their data, but they can start to see that their customer base is much larger than they actually thought, because there's quite a few people that maybe wouldn't buy brand new from that brand because it's a bit more expensive, but they would definitely buy secondhand.
Yeah, I think just to add to that as well is that there's a transition phase where we need to show these brands the value of their place in the circular economy. And there probably will be an element of that if we facilitate this stuff being sold on Depop, Vinted and stuff, and then we're reporting back to them that this is the value of the stuff that's being sold, then you're much more likely to see them engage with that a lot more, because at the moment they can't see their value. They're being told it's clearly there. All the research shows that the circular economy is huge, 500 billion by somewhere or another. There's a stat, it's huge. But we need to show them what their value is in it. So if they can't see it, they're not going to engage with it. So it is a two-step phase, and like I said, they will get involved when they see the value.
Great stuff. Yeah, Claire, just
Hello. Hello. Tim, I'd have loads of questions, but we've spoken quite a lot, so it's a question for LAYBL. It's a follow-on from that. I run a brand, and I'm determined to do all the right things. I'm thinking of this as a consumer. From my brand's perspective, I see that this would be amazing information, but how practically, as a consumer, I've bought a piece of clothing, I want to sell it on. Who inputs the data for the new person who then owns it? I mean, is there a bit of as a consumer, I'm like, well, I don't know if I want that information to, I don't know what quite my question is. Who inputs the data? Is it me as the person selling the item secondhand, or is it the person buying it secondhand? And is there a sort of is there a rub there somehow? Is there reticence that we would need to get over, maybe as a brand to encourage? I'm not sure how comfortable I'd be as a brand saying, okay, if you sell this secondhand, you need to, we want to track your item. Is a bit, ooh. Do you know what I mean?
So you don't have to participate in that. So the way it would happen is that you can transfer ownership with just an email address. Okay. Now, at the moment, we've sort of tried to keep it fairly chill, that we kind of ask you to get the other person to open a LAYBL account first while we sort of figure out, you know, what we can and kind of shouldn't do. But, the only data input is that, if you've got a LAYBL account and I sell something to you, I can just put your email address in of your LAYBL account and I hit transfer, and that's it. It's in your wardrobe now. You're already a willing participant in LAYBL, so you've already agreed to our terms and conditions. You've bought that from me, and I said, oh, I'll transfer it to you. And you're like, yeah, that's cool. So we're playing it quite soft at the moment, but that's what it really is. Now, if the other person chooses not to partake in that, they don't have to. Okay. Now, at that point, though, we still, the original seller has still marked, they've ultimately archived that product as sold and where they sold it. So we still know, okay, we might find the journey ended. That's really sad. We're not going to know what happened with that second owner, but at least we know it did go on. Now, that's still infinitely more information for brands than they have today. So it's still worth doing.
I'm wondering how we could, as a brand, kind of bring this into our, the blue thing. I'll probably have questions tomorrow and I'll email you or something. I'm just wondering as a brand, how we could import that as a community piece for us, to sort of help us to keep these in circulation, help us to keep these, and then bring them back to us when they're end of life or whatever, because we're trying to think about all the steps, all the way to end of life, and where our products are going to end their lives, sadly. But
it sounds like we should.
I'm thinking out loud. Sorry, possibly.
Great stuff. I just I have a question from our online audience, from EMEA. Are you showing ratings and metrics for how sustainable an item is in LAYBL?
Well, there is metrics.
Yeah,
No.
no, right.
I'll let you go. 'cause you're-
Not yet. So it's all in the platform for the brands. We definitely we're looking at, particularly for Shopify at the moment. I guess the dream would be to build a Shopify extension that kind of lets your label data surface back up. So you imagine you're looking to buy a product. Now in LAYBL, we've got a rating out of 5 for washability, quality, fit and comfort. There's no reason why that can't be surfaced up if you want it to the product. So yeah, absolutely, it is a plan for us to do it.
Thank you. I think we've got time for one more question in the room.
Thank you. Tim, you mentioned that there were examples in history where, I don't want to paraphrase you too much, but mass action or popular action had made an impact, alluding to what you were talking about was possible. Can you give an example or your favorite example of where that's worked, or something that's closest to, that's an analogy to what you're hoping for here?
I mean, historically, there's no question that for example, in relation to products produced as from slavery, there's a huge amount of boycotting that went on there that did have an economic impact on that. More recently, things like boycotting of Barclays Bank. There are quite. I'm blanking on other sort of more recent, like in last couple of decades, but there are examples, definitely. I don't think there's really good examples of people doing it on quite the mass that I'm hoping for here, because I think because of the crisis we're in relation to the planet, I think there's more of an incentive for people to do better now than there ever has been before. It's been single issue, and now it's a lot more issues that we have to deal with, and there is an existential crisis. And I believe that the numbers involved are going to be much greater now.
Thank you.
Great stuff. I think that's probably the end of our questions. So yeah, quick round of applause for the guys for fielding that. I think that kind of concludes the event. So yeah, just want to say thank you for everyone for supporting the community, and again, kind of coming to our events. We hope you've really enjoyed it at home as well. We will be continuing some networking over the road in the Sidings pub in probably about 10 minutes time. So you're very welcome to join us there and talk all night if you want to. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the Tech Festival for having us as part of their program, which we really appreciate. Yeah, Hannah would like to ask everyone if you could help with just taking your empties back to where you got your drinks from, any cans or anything in the bins, the recycling bins, that'd be great. But yeah, once again, thank you to our speakers, and thank you again for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.